And now we're seeing in the news that basically they are restricting sales of Pokemon cards to children. They're doing ID checks now to make sure that adults are not buying and reselling Pokemon so that the kids can actually play Pokemon.
Well, and specifically because obviously Gamers Heaven wants to bring Akihabara to America. There's just some specific stores in the Akihabara district.
In the Akihabara district.
That are restricting it. They're like, look, adults, you're done for right now. We want the children to play the game. This is hilarious that they had to get to this point.
It's so interesting to me, especially because, you know, this game has grown up with us as kids to adults now. And so now if this happened here, right, we would only be able to allow kids to buy cards.
So to get specific on you, Hareruya 2, the self-proclaimed world's largest Pokemon trading card specialty store in the Akihabara, tweeted on April 30th that it will have an allocated section of Pokemon specifically for young adults. This special allocation will run out as soon as each pack is sold, and you are limited to 10 packs a day. Adults, including guardians and parents, are barred from buying these cards in the store, as Taylor said. Will check IDs to confirm age.
That means Grandma can't buy any Pokemon cards for her grandkids, though. I mean, I guess Grandma could just give the kids money.
Yep.
So it's just so interesting to me how we are trying to navigate like distribution and allocation in various different places, and it is incredible that we have come to the point where we have to check IDs for Pokemon cards.
Yes, and scalpers are a problem, and actually this was one of the things that came up with the new Games Workshop leaks.
Yep.
Or not leaks, announcements
well.
this weekend. Allocation for Magic. It gets really, really silly.
Yes.
How bad the scalping situation is.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember seeing the posts back in the lockdown days, but there were people who were like literally stacking up certain products, including toilet paper, in their garage so that they could sell it at a more exorbitant price. And it is, I know that because of the system that we live in, it is anything to make a buck because we need to be able to survive. But also, what the hell, guys?
I mean, here's the thing. I've never liked the concept of do anything to make a buck.
No.
Right? And while from a short-term financial standpoint, that's kind of the way to go.
Yes. Sorry, I wanted to be Totoro today.
That's fine. Comfort Totoro.
Comfort Totoro.
I love... Again, I understand why people want to do that, but you really are, especially with things like Pokemon cards. Yes. Okay? I mean...
Yes, I know it's an investment, but also, why would you take that from the kids? It's for your own personal gain.
And here's the thing, too, and this goes back to what happened with the Aftermath stuff last week from March of the Machine. Yep. This goes to Pokemon. Pokemon and Magic have let this get out of control completely. They have completely relinquished all control over the distribution channels to these other organizations that do not care. They don't care about the community. They don't care about the players. They don't care about anything. They just care about flipping the product as fast as they can.
Yes.
And because Magic and Pokemon have completely just been like, nope, we don't care, you end up in these situations where you have stores being like, hey, if you're grown up, we're not selling to you anymore.
I respect it. Like, the store's having to make that decision. Also, segue. 1 second, please. Vampy Bay, thank you for subscribing to our Twitch channel.
Yo, yo!
Thank you so much!
Yeah, I'm trying to... Y'all, first off, need to stop creating this false scarcity, and you need to lock down the distribution channels again. I don't think they're actually going to do it, though.
No,
as bad as the press is for both Wizards and Pokemon, I don't see them changing anything.
Well, it's because it benefits them first and foremost, right? If they had to lock down the distribution channels, that means that they would have to actually put systems in place to actually verify all of the storefronts that are operating in their distribution currently. And that also means that they would also have to go through and investigate their own distributors as well, which is a whole lot of work. And I don't know if it is across the board for, teams like WotC or Pokemon, but I do know that there are quite a few businesses right now that are basically deciding that due to budgetary constraints, they don't have the people to do things, right? AKA layoffs.
They obviously have enough money to hire Pinkertons.
That's because they have them on retainer. Isn't that great? But like, so if they're already, selling the cards and kind of wiping their hands of it as soon as it crosses the threshold, I don't think that they kind of want to take back that control, because that puts a whole lot of man hours right back on their plate.
Yeah, but eventually you have to look at it as an investment. You have to look at it as an investment in your community and the people who actually love your stuff, and not just the people who are trying to profiteer off the secondary markets and things like that. Like, you've really off the collectibles market. It's false scarcity, and it's just
stage capitalism.
Yeah, it's really getting ugly. So I don't know if we had more. We do at the beginning of runs, but I mean, this might be the trick,
IDing people before they buy Pokemon cards.
Kids get cards, man.
I mean, that's how you're supposed. Like, okay, if you are trying to make a community or make sure that a game has a longevity, you need to make sure that you are making it so that kids can play, right? Because they're going to have a longer lifespan than the adults that are just shitting out money to scalp the cards. So if you're not making it so that the kids can actually get cards, then you're never going to have that young fan base that is able to grow up and with your game.
Which is exactly that's how you get the longevity. You're absolutely right.
Does this also raise the secondary market prices?
That's tough to say. Pokemon's kind of a funky secondary market because of how fast they shift their meta between the sets. So it's not like Magic, where you've got one portion of the secondary market that is the play side of the secondary market that are looking for play stats and stuff like that.
Yep.
Because sets go out of tournament legality really fast, like super quick. So then you're left with only the secondary collector's market, specifically the collector's market. But there's a couple in these last sets that people are just hunting for.
Well, and it's interesting, especially as a store that has Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It is interesting to see the difference between how these cards go through waxes and wanes of popularity, especially with different sets. As soon as the meta changes for Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of our Yu-Gi-Oh players will just wait and stop playing the game completely until they have a new set that fits the meta. Or with Pokemon, the meta changes, and sometimes they'll pull cards that are, 5 or 6, 7 sets back that end up being able to be used. And that helps the secondhand market, but if we're not printing enough cards...
Again, it's false scarcity, it's lack of control of the distribution channels, and it's just the way that they're doing it, and it's just disappointing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really, really disappointing. It also hurts game stores a lot. All the online secondary, the online scalper market, all this thing is it's a mess. And
just for this shortage, right? The kids thing?
So far.
Okay.
As far as we can read into it, at least. I don't know if it's going to continue to be that way, especially with this being specifically the stores in the Akihabara. I know that personally I'll be keeping an eye on this just because I am interested to see how the secondary and tertiary effects take place. I really do think that making sure that the threshold is low for kids to get into gaming is an important thing to make sure that we continue to raise, generations of nerds. It's going to be interesting.
So, anyway, good job, little Japan thingy. Have fun. I'm glad you're restricting it to the children. Let the kids get some bloody Pokemon cards.
Let them play a game.
And Japan, try not to run out of Pokemon cards again. Seriously.
Or Pokemon print more cards. I don't know what the right answer is here.
The right answer is getting their stinking distribution under control. All right.
Oh, it says here on the internet that you haven't liked or subscribed or hit the notification bell. And that if you don't, the IRS is going to punch you in the dink.